Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. I have recently picked up a gold cube in hopes that this will help with the collection of gold and as well as the sulfides out of my hard rock that I've been crushing up in the homemade rock crusher. And also I can just use this in general with future prospecting trips. So this is designed to be used both out in the field, prospecting in the rivers and streams, as well as in the shop. So this came with a stand, and I decided to go ahead and get the 4-stack gold cube for hopefully better capture results. It came with the 1100 gallon per hour bilge pump, which then hooks up to the top there, and water then filters down through this top plate here. And then we have mats, which will hopefully capture the fine gold. And the special thing about the gold cube is it's really designed to get the small stuff. So as a lot of people know, the really small gold likes to actually float on top of the water. And by design, the gold goes down here, and you have actually these walls. That wall right there forces the water into, it forces the gold under the water. So any gold that is floating is now fully submerged, goes down into a little vortex. So the really heavy stuff will get trapped right here. Anything that can come up will then get trapped in the first 3 inches here. So if there is any good gold, usually the first 3 inches there will get loaded. And if anything gets past that, well, it has not 1 but 2 more chances with the 4-stack to get captured before it goes into the waste pile, essentially. Right now, this is essentially brand new out of the box. And if you read the instructions on the box, they tell you to do a cleanup with detergent. So I'm going to use Dawn dish soap, and I'm going to scrub all the surfaces down on this thing. If there's any oil residue from the manufacturing of the unit or the packaging, that oil can likely cause gold not to be captured. So you want to make sure all the oil residue is out of this thing. So I'm going to give this thing a really good wash, but before I do that, I'm going to get it wet, and I'm going to hook it up and power up for the first time. Did spark. And there we go. Just like that, it's running. It is now going into the tank down below. This thing really flows. So as you can see, it completely fills up that trough. And one of the things they also tell you to do is if you're going to run this, you get a lot of air pockets in the mat, and there's a lot of air bubbles in there. You can actually see them right there. That's a lot of air bubbles. So they actually tell you to saturate this, and not only that, to scrub it to get all the air out. So before you even run this thing, every single time you got to make sure this thing's completely saturated with no air pockets at all in any of the mats. But I'm going to go ahead and get this thing clean. So I'm starting the cleaning procedure here. So I just took a little bit done, and I'm using a scrub brush, and I'm really scrubbing side to side here and up and down to get these the mat here surface really cleaned off of all the oils. And I'll take a little sponge and I'll even scrub down inside of here, make sure there's no oils on this thing, and I'll rinse it all off like so. And then once it's all cleaned up, I can finally start running it. This will also help to get most of the air pockets out as well. Alright, so I got this thing all cleaned up now, degreased with the Dawn dish soap, and I should be able to run it now. The mats are nice and saturated, all the air bubbles are out. So, where I bought this gold cube, I bought it on eBay, and it came from Georgia, I believe, and the guy that I bought the cube from has sent me a free sample in the cube. I can't remember the company or the person who sent me it, but pretty cool that I get a free sample of pay dirt to test out the new gold cube. And I believe, I'm not sure if this sample is from Georgia directly, or if they're just getting it from somewhere else and selling it out of Georgia. I can tell right away that there's lots of quartz in here and muscovite. I'm assuming it came out of a river or stream. Lots of quartz and muscovite. It looks like typical sandy river deposit. So I'm not sure how much gold will be in here, but hopefully it's not disappointing. So with that, the gold cube is all cleaned up. The air bubbles that are out of the mat should be ready to fire this thing up. So let me just quickly connect the batteries. I also have some plastic containers here. I got a big one for the main channel for the water. I have a smaller container to hopefully capture most of the tailings out of this. And hopefully that won't plug up the bilge pump. So connect the positive first. I believe that's how you're supposed to do it. Positive is always first when connected to battery. And then the negative. And there we go. Should be operational now. I might need to put in some more water. Got some nice good flow. There we go. So before I start shoveling in material, here's another look at it in action. I had a bit of a mishap, didn't have the plastic tote completely aligned and I lost a little bit of water. But you can see it flows right down this surface here, goes on down there. I don't know if you can tell, but all the air pockets that were in the mats are now completely gone. And the water is now flowing over the surfaces a whole lot better. Still a little bit of suds from the Dawn dish soap. And fun fact, a lot of people like to use either Dawn dish soap or jet dry to get rid of break up the surface tension so the gold doesn't float. Now, by design, the gold cube is supposed to do that on its own. In the instruction manual, it tells you actually not to do that. So I'm gonna get to shoveling before I lose my battery here. And I believe you just feed the material just like that on the top. And down it goes. Just like that. And the gold cube sucks it right on down. Now I guess their main catchphrase with this thing is cube it or lose it. There we go. Get the shovel wet here and get the rest little remnants. I'm actually just going to dump the rest of the bag on here because there isn't a whole lot. All right, dump it all out just like that. So hopefully we have some nice gold captured up here in the first bit of matting. And anything else is now hopefully in that lower container down there. There was lots of organic material in this stuff. So let me just disconnect the battery now and we'll pan it out. And there we go. All right, so apparently this first tray is not important because there's no matting. The gold just slides right off the plate. I've also disconnected the bilge pump to make this a little bit easier. And there we go. Now, theoretically, the gold should be in the first bit of matting. So let's take a look at this. Sorry for the glare of the shop lights, but there is actually gold visible in the trough there. So if the camera wants to focus, so right there we got gold. Right there. There's another bit of gold. And anything else over here? Oh yeah, there's another little bit of gold right there. Anywhere else? A little bit of a shop glare. Actually, there's a bit of gold sitting up right there. I don't know why my camera's not wanting to focus on anything right now. Jeez, I think it's the glare from that light. Yeah, that's a piece of gold right there. Looking at the mat, that's a piece of gold right there, nice and shiny. The shop lights are really making it look really bright on the camera, but that's a piece of gold right in there between the sands. And there's another piece of gold right there. And then there's another piece of gold in between that little slot. And, well, I already showed that piece right there. Man, the glare is really not helping the camera. There's another piece of gold. And there might be more in the matting. I think I already pointed out that one there. But I'm going to take this apart now, pan it out. Now here's the tricky part. Taking this tray off and making sure I don't spill any of our gold out of here. We'll take it off just like so. And what you want to do is you want to pour it not like that. Keep an angle at it and pour the contents just like so. So all your gold will want to run down into your pan and not out like I did. Luckily there's this wall material that will help keep the stuff in. Now if you had a spray bottle or some water, you want to rinse this on down, and that's what I'm going to attempt to do here with a little bit of a bucket. If I can find my spray bottle, this would likely make it easier. Make sure you get the trough. I'm just going to use my scoop shovel, rinse off these mats. But this matting material sure seems to hold on to stuff. There's a lot of gravel and sand that does not want to come out of this very easily. Now if you were doing this into a big 5-gallon bucket, that would probably be the way to go, but I figured I'm trying to do this how I would maybe if I was out with just the gold pan. I see a piece of gold that is refusing to come out of the mat material right now. It's at the very end down here. And I think I got that piece. Nope, it's still stuck in there. I might have to get my bottle to get that piece out, but there's a piece of gold still trapped in the matting material. But, yep, now I'm just going to repeat that on the other 2 trays. All right, I got most of the trays mostly cleaned up. I got to do this quick because my camera battery's about to die. So here is the material after running it through the gold cubes, or the gold cube. And then here is all the stuff that made it all the way through the gold cube minus the quartz. I just put those giant quartz rocks to keep the container from floating away. So with that, I guess I will pan this out now and we will see how much gold I recovered. Need to get rid of some of this water. There we go. Now, I should have probably classified this material. It would have made it easier for sure, but a little past that point now. So let me just pan it normally. All right, I think that's good enough. There's our black sand coming up at the top. Again, sorry about the shop glare, the shop light. Get these bigger chunks out of here. Getting a little bit more aggressive. And there's our gold. Look at that. Here it comes. Big chunks that are pretty much all the same. I'm washing a little bit too hard there, so some of my gold's floating away. Not floating, but rotating away. And there is the gold from the sample, the pay dirt. And there's another piece. There's a couple more pieces that float on over here on the pan. Just 2 little pieces. And there is the rest. Well, next I'm going to run this stuff to see if the gold cube lost anything, or possibly if I was panning a little bit too aggressively and happened to lose any gold while I was panning into here. Maybe I should have panned into something else, but oh well. Alright, so I just panned out all the material that made its way out of the gold cube, and no gold at all, which is good. That's a good sign. And there was a little bit of black sands here, which I'm assuming is going to be a little bit of sulfides. Now, as far as the sulfides getting through the gold cube, I am a little concerned because with my material that I collect myself and crush up, most of the gold, I believe, is going to be associated with the sulfides, and I want to actually collect those sulfides. So hopefully, when I run it, not a whole lot of material as far as the sulfides gets through the gold cube. That's where a shaker table would actually be really beneficial, but I cannot afford one of those, and I don't know if I can build one quite yet. I probably could in the future, but overall, looks like the gold cube does its job. Alright, so here are the results from the gold cube. I put it into a little bowl here so you can easily see all the gold that was in that sample, and that is all the gold that the gold cube recovered. There's actually some really fine gold in there. You're probably not going to be able to see it on camera. If you can see off to the left there, there's a really tiny speck, but there are pieces of gold that the gold cube recovered that are actually far smaller. And actually, there's one right there. Probably won't see it. But right there is a nice close look up at some of the gold. Camera seems to be focusing somewhat okay on it. So not a bad little sample. I need to get myself a scale so I can actually weigh my gold in the future and see how many grams I have. But if any of you in the comments want to take a guess on how many grams that could be, go ahead and let me know. And I'll definitely put this in a little vial, and I can always weigh it in the future. But that is some pretty looking stuff right in there. All right, before I end the video, I figured I'd give an update on my rock crusher for those who know about it or are curious. I made a couple of improvements, and I did away with the old dryer duct, which you can see is right here. And now I have actual hosing. I bought myself this cyclone dust separator. So dust is no longer an issue, and I can hook my shop vac directly to the top of this, and that then sucks air directly from the crusher assembly. So now, not only do I have suction from this thing spinning on its own and sucking air through, I have additional suction with the vacuum. So there is zero dust now when this thing runs, which is really good for not only my health, but hopefully the health of the engine with the air filter, and it's just a whole lot cleaner setup. And I can also take the nozzle out here, which the plastic fitting was a little bit too small, so I wrapped some duct tape on there to make it a little bit bigger, and it still seals, so I can pop the lid off this thing afterwards, turn on the vacuum, and I can now clean up the inside of the drum with the vacuum hose. And then when I'm done, of course, I can just easily slip it right back on like so. And it works pretty well. You can tell I've ran it since the last video on the crusher, and the screen is actually holding up really well. I haven't even tack welded the screen in, and I'm planning to get 1/8 size screen holes, so I'm planning to get more of this material but with smaller holes down the 1/8, and that'll hopefully help with the filtration. But I want to show you how good of a job this crusher actually can do. Let me pop the lid open real quick. Lighting isn't the best again in the shop, but this is what the material's looking like. You can see there's still bigger material getting through, but that's why I want to get the 1/8 size screen on there. But you can see a majority of it is a nice powder, as you can see there. And with this powder, I'm going to run this material through the gold cube. All right, so this will pretty much conclude the video. This was my first test run of the brand new gold cube, and I've heard of these things for several years, and I'm happy to finally own one, and it looks like it does a really good job at collecting the fine gold based off of what was in that free sample that I received. And what I'm hoping is that my ore, my quartz rock that has sulfides, when I crush that in the rock crusher, I'm hoping that when I run that fine powder on through the gold cube, that if there is any free mill gold, that of course it will be caught in the gold cube, but hopefully this will also capture a good majority of the sulfides because I believe in those rocks that the gold is mostly trapped in the sulfides, and I'm hoping this can actually collect a good majority of the sulfides. Now, as I mentioned before, a shaker table would actually be a lot more efficient at doing that job, collecting the sulfides and the gold. However, shaker tables are also pretty expensive in comparison to a gold cube, which is relatively inexpensive. And I did look into, or had the idea of building a shaker table, but I might have to do that at a later time. I just can't do that right now. So anyways, this will wrap up the video. In future videos, I'm hoping to run some of that powdered material on through the gold cube, and we'll give this a nice test run with that. And I'm hoping that it does a good job collecting the gold as well as the sulfides, and I'm hoping that there's promising gold in those rocks. If there is a lot of gold to be had in that rock, I'm hoping that I can start crushing it up and have basically a small little mining operation, crushing up the rock, running the powder through the gold cube, and collecting the gold, and hopefully the sulfides, because I believe the gold's in the sulfides, and we can roast those up and hopefully free more of the gold. Anyways, this will conclude the video, so I hope you all enjoyed it, and I hope to have more videos coming out pretty soon. Yeah, pretty soon. It's like midnight right now, so I'm pretty tired. But anyways, I hope you all are doing well, and until next time, I'll see you all later.